What if events went differently and the world of Star Fox adventures didn't unfold on the Dinosaur Planet, but in the ancient war-torn lands of Middle-earth? Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse. My name is Max Charlebois, aka MissedThePart, and today's legendary crossover was officially locked in live by none other than Pharaoh Fox Hammond 67X, a proud member of the Watcher of the Multiverse tier, so huge shout out for this epic fusion of sci-fi and fantasy. You've given us a quest unlike anything we've ever told before. In this bold alternate timeline, Fox McCloud awakens not only a Kazaz's shrine, but to whisper of a dark power rising in Mordor. Gandalf seeks out the pilot from beyond the stars, believing him to be the key to restoring balance to the realms. Fox, armed with his staff and instincts, joins the Fellowship as an outsider, bringing tech, tactics, and Star Fox heart into a world of elves, dwarves, and orcs. Can he survive the magic of Middle-earth, or will the One Ring corrupt every hero from the stars? And if you want to bring your wildest ideas to life just like Pharaoh Fox Hammond 67X did, consider joining the multiverse. We have the monthly Watcher tier available right now. We have the Watcher 5 tier available, as well as the Watcher of the Multiverse tier, and it gives you the full request privileges and the power to shape massive storylines like this one. We've got a ton of new crossovers, continuations, and fan requests and different sagas coming your way. So now's the perfect time to step into one of our live streams, pitch your timeline, and become part of the story. That being said, gather your courage, hold tight to your staff, and follow the stars into the shadows. This is What If Star Fox Adventures Happened in Lord of the Rings.
It began as a whisper in the ancient halls of Saria. Krystal stood alone before the last functioning Krazoa shrine, her sapphire fur dimly illuminated by the eerie blue glow of the altar. Her staff rested at her side, humming with psychic static. Though the war for Dinosaur Planet had ended, her soul felt restless. Something was missing, answers to a question long buried beneath silence. What really happened to her parents? She closed her eyes and placed her palm on the Krazoa's seal. The energy responded. A vision flooded her mind, not of her home world, but of another realm entirely. A burning mountain, a ring of gold, a man in gray robes with piercing, knowing eyes. The air snapped, a rift tore open beside her in a swirl of wind and magic. Before she could react, Krystal was lifted from the ground and pulled into the vortex. She awoke beneath a canopy of gold-leaf trees, their roots gnarled like dragon claws. Her head throbbed, her staff gone. The air felt ancient, brimming with power. Birds called in unfamiliar tongues. In the distance, mountains stood tall like sleeping gods. This was not Saria. This was Middle-earth. Krystal staggered to her feet, just as riders approached on horseback, dressed in flowing cloaks and bearing sigils she didn't recognize. She raised her hands in peace, and after a tense moment, the riders took her to Rivendell. There, Gandalf the Grey examined her. He sensed no threat, only a great weight of destiny on her shoulders. She spoke of the Krazoa, the visions, and her lost parents. Gandalf, ever attuned to the will of higher powers, saw truth in her tale. The wizards of this world had long felt dimensional veils weakening. Her arrival was a sign. Gandalf said, "You were pulled here for a reason. The One Ring must be destroyed. And I believe your journey, your family's fate, is tied to its end." Krystal, though reeling, understood. She had always followed the trail of the unknown. Now she would walk alongside the Fellowship of the Ring. Within days, she was at Aragorn's side, sword in hand, helping defend a village outside Eregion. Orc raiders had been spotted cutting off trade routes to the west. Krystal's quick reflexes and enhanced agility gave her the upper hand, but she lacked her staff, and it showed. During a fierce clash with a towering Uruk-hai berserker, she blocked a swing with a borrowed elven blade. The brute snarled, grabbed her weapon, and hurled her into a raging stream. Krystal emerged coughing and soaked, her borrowed sword gone, and her staff, which she had tied to her pack, swept away by the current. "No!" she shouted, chasing after it through the thickets, but it vanished over a rocky cliff. Alone and disarmed, she knew she had to reach Frodo and Sam, who had continued their journey east. Meanwhile, far beyond this world's stars, on board the Great Fox, General Pepper watched a hologram of a swirling ring suspended above a volcano. He turned to Fox McCloud, who stood silent at the briefing table. "Fox, the One Ring is no myth. Its evil echoes through dimensions. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could tear apart space-time, including ours. You must find it and destroy it." Fox blinked. "Alone?" Pepper nodded gravely. "You won't have your blaster. No Arwing, no gadgets. You must blend in, adapt." With no more than a communicator and a survival pack, Fox stepped into the Krazoa rift, uncertain what he would find on the other side. He crashed through a dense woodland and a ball of blue fire, landing hard in a clearing filled with startled deer. Smoke rose from his torn gear. The communicator was fried, his blaster gone. Before he could stand, arrows rained down around him. Fox raised his hands as figures in green cloaks stepped from the shadows, elves, faces cold but curious. He was taken to Gandalf, who once again recognized the cosmic disturbance this warrior brought with him. After some days of rest, Gandalf brought Fox to Aragorn and the Fellowship. "You fight well," Aragorn said, "but not with our weapons." Fox began training. Swordplay with Aragorn, archery with Legolas, and staff combat with Gandalf himself. Days turned into weeks, and Fox's body began to shift. No longer dependent on precision tech, he became instinctual. His agility and pilot reflexes translated into sword strikes and evasions that impressed even Gimli. But despite the growing bond, Fox kept wondering, was Krystal here too? On the road to Moria, they were ambushed by a scouting pack of orcs. Fox fought with ferocity, driving his blade through armor and hide. After the skirmish, he wandered off, retracing a trail in the dirt. Something felt familiar. At the edge of the forest, beneath a shattered elm, a cracked violet staff lay impaled in the roots. Krystal's staff. Fox knelt beside it. She was here, and she was in danger. The fires of Mordor crackled in the distance. But to Krystal, it was the silence that grew louder. Separated from the Fellowship, disarmed and half-healed from her orc battle, she followed vague signs of Frodo and Sam through the wild lands of Ithilien. Without her staff, she could barely sense the world's energy, like trying to hear whispers underwater. Every branch cracked too loudly. Every breeze felt colder than the last. She moved under cover of night, shrouded in a borrowed cloak, watching from the trees as Frodo and Sam made camp. Beside them, always muttering and circling like a restless shadow, was Gollum. Krystal watched for 2 nights. Something about Gollum's eyes set her instincts ablaze. Not just deceit, but obsession, hunger, fear. She crept closer the 3rd night, just as Gollum slipped into the woods, whispering cruel things to himself. Krystal approached the hobbits quietly. Frodo jumped, sword half drawn, but stopped when he saw her face. "Krystal," he said, blinking. "From Rivendell. I thought you were separated, but not lost," she replied, kneeling beside him. "I followed you as best I could." Sam was hesitant, but Frodo welcomed her. "You're just in time. We're headed toward Mordor, but we "We don't know the way." Krystal looked toward the woods. "Your guide does, but he's leading you into a trap." She recounted what she had seen. Gollum muttering about precious sacrifices. Sam scowled. Frodo, weary and still under the ring's weight, hesitated. "He's helped us," Frodo said. "But I know what you're saying. Something's wrong." Krystal swore she would protect them both. Without her staff, she would rely on stealth and speed. The ring may have corrupted Gollum, but it wouldn't claim Frodo. Not if she could help it. Elsewhere, Fox and the Fellowship neared the walls of Minas Morgul, where the air turned sour and light dimmed unnaturally. Gandalf and Aragorn warned that the path would soon diverge. Frodo must travel alone with Sam and Gollum, while the others prepared for war. But Fox wasn't ready to part ways. When Aragorn explained the Ring-Bearer's solitary mission, Fox shook his head. "If Frodo is out there, I need to find him, and Krystal. She's close. I can feel it." Legolas gave Fox a single arrow with an elven rune. "You may only have one shot. Make it count." As the Fellowship prepared for their final march to distract Sauron's forces, Fox slipped away. Heading towards Cirith Ungol, the very place Gollum intended to spring his trap. Krystal's suspicions proved true. One fog-drenched night, Gollum led the hobbits up a winding cliffside pass into a hollowed cavern webbed in silk and stinking of death. Krystal felt the shift in the air immediately. "This is wrong," she whispered, eyes darting around the walls. "It's a nest." And then the screaming began. Shelob, the great spider demon of Mordor, lunged from the shadows, 8 legs scraping stone, fangs dripping venom. Sam was knocked aside by a sudden swipe of a leg. Gollum hissed with glee before fleeing the scene. Frodo stood frozen, mesmerized by the beast's hideous form. Krystal leapt in front of him. "Run!" With nothing but a rusted dagger she'd salvaged from the wild, Krystal charged Shelob, slicing at its legs. She moved like water, dancing around the monster's jabs, ducking under mandibles, but her blade was dull and her arms weak. Every strike was deflected. Every dodge slowed her further. Shelob coiled around them, striking Krystal with the blunt edge of a leg and slamming her against the wall. Frodo shouted her name. She staggered to her feet. She stood tall. "You won't touch him." The spider shrieked and lunged. Krystal tackled Frodo out of the way and felt the sting of Shelob's poisoned stinger pierce her shoulder. Darkness claimed her. Wrapped in silk, suspended from the cavern's ceiling, she drifted between worlds. Frodo, bleeding and frantic, crawled through a back tunnel and sprinted through the jagged foothills. Just as his vision blurred, he ran headfirst into a figure emerging from the fog. Fox McCloud. Fox caught him mid-fall. "Frodo?" "Krystal. She saved me. Shelob has her." Fox's eyes went wide. "Where?" Frodo pointed back toward the rising cliffs. "She's in the web. She's dying." Fox didn't ask another question. Within minutes, Fox had scaled the spider's lair. The walls pulsed with rot. Twitching silk lined the tunnel walls. The air buzzed with unseen movement. He lit a torch. The fire cast flickering shadows across the den. He found her, Krystal, cocooned and limp, hanging from a pillar of bone. "Hold on," he whispered. Then the webs parted. Shelob descended, enraged. Her wound from Krystal still seeping. She towered over Fox, howling a demonic screech that shook the walls. Fox stood his ground. With sword in one hand, torch in the other, he dodged Shelob's strikes with tight rolls and backflips, pure pilot reflexes. He slashed at her legs, drove the torch into her mouth, and spun upward to deliver a hard strike across her thorax. But Shelob retaliated, snagging him with her leg and slamming him into a wall. He dropped the sword. She lunged for him, her fangs bared. In the last second, Fox snatched Legolas's rune arrow and jammed it into her eye. "Scree!" Shelob shrieked and retreated into the shadows, leaving the cave shaking with fury. Fox gasped for breath, then sliced the webbing and pulled Krystal into his arms. Her eyes fluttered open. Fox, he smiled, gently brushing hair from her bruised face. "I always find you." Krystal, still weak, clutched his shoulder. "Frodo, he's going to Mount Doom. We have to help them." Fox nodded, lifting her carefully. "Then let's finish this, together." Smoke curled like fingers from the molten cracks of Mount Doom, choking the air as Frodo and Sam crawled up its blackened slopes. The ring pulsed against Frodo's chest like a heartbeat of madness. Each step weighed more than the last. His mind buzzed with whispers not his own. Behind them, barely visible against the fiery horizon, a new storm gathered. It was the end of the Third Age, and they were not alone. Far below, Fox and Krystal, scarred but alive, emerged from the ruins of Cirith Ungol. Krystal leaned heavily on her salvaged staff, patched together by elven wood and bound with cloth. Fox walked beside her, sword still glistening from the battle with Shelob. They moved with purpose. "We're almost there," Krystal whispered. "I can feel Frodo's energy near the volcano." Fox adjusted his grip on the blade. "Good, because something else is coming. Something worse." The skies above Barad-dûr tore open in a bolt of green-black lightning. A vortex spiraled open above the Tower of Sauron, and from it descended a form encased in midnight armor, his horned helm shaped like a monstrous skull. It was Andros, but not as Fox remembered him. This was Dark Knight Andros, a version resurrected and reforged in the fires of Mordor, cloaked in demonic magic and wielding a jagged broadsword fueled by Krazoa corruption. He landed with an earth-shattering boom near the mouth of Mount Doom, blocking the Hobbit's path, his deep mechanical voice echoing across the valley. "You seek to end it all. The ring is mine. This world will burn, and your world shall follow." Frodo clutched the ring, trembling. Sam shielded him, axe shaking in his grip. From the side, Fox and Krystal arrived, just in time to see the chaos unfold. Fox stepped forward, placing himself between Andros and the Hobbits. "No," Fox said. "You won't touch them." Andros let out a guttural laugh. "You've traded your wings for a blade, fool." Fox raised his sword. "Then let's see who flies higher." The duel began. Andros swung first, his obsidian blade creating shockwaves with each impact. Fox rolled beneath one strike, then leapt onto a crag to deliver a high slash, only to be parried by dark magic. Sparks flew as metal clanged against twisted steel. Krystal tried to join the fray, but her body was still recovering. She instead turned to Frodo and Sam, guiding them up the final steps of the mountain, while Fox fought to buy them time. Fox used his agility, parkouring across the ledges, dodging blast after blast of corrupted energy. He used every lesson Aragorn and Legolas had taught him. Still, Andros countered with brutal strength, striking with two-handed cleaves and fiery explosions. "You were nothing without your ship," Andros roared, grabbing Fox by the neck. Fox choked, vision blurring, but managed to pull a small elven dagger from his boot and stab into the joint of Andros's gauntlet. The Dark Knight stumbled. Fox somersaulted behind him, slashed at the legs, then rolled to recover his sword. "Not nothing," Fox growled. "Just different." High above, Krystal helped Sam drag Frodo to the ledge of the Cracks of Doom, but the ring had taken hold. Frodo stood, trembling, staring into the fire. "I can't do it," he said, turning toward them. "The ring, it's mine." Krystal's eyes widened. "Frodo, fight it!" but he vanished, the ring turning him invisible. Before she could chase after him, Gollum reappeared, leaping from the shadows and tackling an invisible Frodo. They tumbled toward the cliff's edge, wrestling for the ring. Below, Fox and Andros continued their brutal war. Andros, bloodied but not broken, raised his sword to deliver a final blow. An arrow struck him through the shoulder. From the sky, descending on the back of a great eagle, came Falco Lombardi, dressed in a rough mix of Rohan armor and pilot gear. "Hope I'm not late to the party," he said, diving off the eagle and kicking Andros back. Fox grinned. "Took you long enough." With renewed strength, Fox and Falco fought together, dodging, feinting, and finally impaling Andros through the chest with their combined strikes. The corrupted Krazoa energy inside him screamed as his form exploded in a pillar of sickly green light. At the mountain's peak, Krystal rushed forward just as Gollum clutched the ring, biting Frodo's finger off in a frenzy. "My precious!" Gollum danced, triumphant, but slipped on the edge, tumbling backward into the lava with the ring still in hand. Krystal caught Frodo before he fell, holding him tight. The ring melted. The Eye of Sauron shrieked. A massive shockwave burst from Barad-dûr as the tower crumbled into black stone. Across Mordor, orcs fell into disarray. Trolls turned to dust. The skies cleared and the world exhaled. It was over. In the aftermath, Fox, Krystal, Falco, Frodo, and Sam stood on a rocky outcrop as great eagles descended to carry them to safety. Fox looked up at the burning mountain one last time. "Another world saved," Krystal smiled, her hand brushing against his. "But not the last." The air over Gondor was no longer thick with ash, but alive with spring. White blossoms bloomed along the edges of the White City, as the banners of all free peoples waved in triumph. The dark tide had passed. Sauron was gone, the ring destroyed. And among the heroes who stood before the newly crowned King Aragorn, 3 were not of this world: Fox McCloud, Krystal, and Falco Lombardi, the saviors from the stars. They were honored in a special ceremony atop the city's highest tier. A golden emblem of the Star Fox sigil, crafted by the elves of Rivendell and etched into mithril, was gifted to them as a symbol of unity between worlds. As Aragorn clasped Fox's forearm, he said quietly, "You came here a stranger. You leave as brother." Fox bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. This world, it taught me more than I ever expected." Later that evening, as music and dancing filled the streets, Krystal stood on a balcony overlooking the Pelennor fields, where thousands of soldiers once clashed in shadow. Her hand drifted over the newly reforged Krazoa staff, now imbued with both Saurian and Elven energy. Fox joined her, sipping from a wooden goblet. "You still thinking about your parents?" She nodded. "Middle-earth gave me answers. Not the ones I expected, but ones I needed. I thought I'd find vengeance. Instead, I found peace." He looked out at the night sky with her. "I'm glad you're going back with me," he said. Krystal turned to him. "So am I." She stepped closer, their shoulders brushing. "I never said thank you for saving me." "You don't have to," she smiled. "I want to." Krystal leaned in, gently pressing her lips to Fox's. It wasn't fiery or rushed, but soft, long overdue, and filled with silent understanding. Weeks later, with help from the elves and dwarves, the Great Fox II had been rebuilt, combining Lilat engineering with Middle-earth enchantments. Its hull shimmered like starlight, its core pulsed with Krazoa power, stabilized by mithril-infused wiring. The Fellowship gathered at the Grey Havens to see them off. Frodo, still healing from the weight of the ring, embraced both Fox and Krystal. "You helped save everything," he said softly. "If you ever return, you'll always have a place here." Gandalf approached, his staff planted beside him. Balance has been restored for now, he said, but the doors between worlds remain thin. Fox nodded. Then we'll keep watching the stars. As the Great Fox 2 rose into the air, engines glowing with golden light, the people of Middle-earth watched in awe. From the cockpit, Krystal and Fox sat side by side. Falco leaned against the bulkhead behind them, arms crossed with a grin. "So," Falco said, "back to the Lilat system." Fox looked over at Krystal. She smiled. He took her hand, looked back out at the galaxy ahead, and said, "Not just yet. Let's see what else is out there." Far beyond Mordor, deep in the remains of Dol Guldur, something moved beneath the rubble. A green ember pulsed faintly beneath stone. A claw emerged, burned, blackened, but alive. Dark Knight Andros was not entirely gone, and across the stars, in a future yet unwritten, the rift pulsed again. The multiverse had taken its first breath, but more stories were waiting.
And that is going to be it for What If Star Fox Adventures happened in Lord of the Rings. Now, what did you think of this alternate timeline? It's a really interesting Lord of the Rings and Nintendo crossover. Now, I never thought that I would have been doing this sort of storyline, and I think Pharaoh really made it easy for me. He knew exactly what he wanted for the storyline, and I added the MissedThePart flavor. And again, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video as I really enjoyed writing this for Pharaoh. So again, thank you so very much for watching, and if you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care and have a wonderful day. Peace out.